In the book, he was like a resident when it started, and he was 29. But in the movie, full-fledged neurosurgeon. So that's another reason. So yeah, I mean, it's not that big of a deal to me that we aged him up. I was extremely excited because look who we got.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I also feel on film it resonates much better with more mature characters. Oh my gosh. I have always been such a huge Blake Lively fan. So when they told me that she was going to be Lily, I honestly didn't let myself get too excited because I am kind of a pessimist. And it wasn't until she actually showed up on set to film the role that I allowed myself to get excited. And
Hi friends, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It is Thursday, February 20th, 2025. There's been a lot of talk today about all these things going on in Blake Lively's case. And listen, I don't want to be the person that just rehashes all of the latest details. I want to talk about something that I've been muddling on my mind for a few weeks and digging into as I've looked into this situation with and It Ends With Us. This is a very nuanced story, and obviously there are serious allegations at play. But there's something that's never sat well with me, and I've had this like instinct, this little sort of reporter, investigative journalist gut instinct that this whole collapse was one part Blake Lively and another part Colleen Hoover, two women that wanted creative control over a movie. One woman who had sold the rights to an independent studio, Wayfair Studios, that was about to make an indie film that later became distributed by Sony, but it was supposed to be just an indie film. It wasn't going to be big budget. And then suddenly, an A-list star with an A-list husband and people that around this A-list person that can bring a lot of exposure to the film become a part of the film. And that person that becomes your star is someone that you are a fan of. And then suddenly, the years of work you've put into with the man that believed in you and offered your book an opportunity to become a film and financed it and spent years developing and casting and getting everything ready was thrown by the wayside. A man that for years you praised and loved and honored and had a great working relationship with. But then suddenly, when the woman walks through the door, that relationship with that man is destroyed. And suddenly, by the time the movie needs to be edited, not only does the director of the film not have his cut shown, but you, the writer of this book, start working with the star that you were a fan of, and you lead the cut that becomes the film. And along the way, you leave little breadcrumbs in your Facebook group that seem to suggest you were frustrated with the fact that you lost creative control and Blake gave you that control. And you met your hero, and then your hero brought you on a journey where you got more creative control. But along the way, a group of men got decimated. Now, I don't know about the claims against Justin and Wayfair. I know there's a lot of evidence that he's put out in his lawsuit that seem to refute what Blake Lively has said. But something in Blake's amended complaint popped out to me, and it made me believe what my gut has been telling me, that Blake and Colleen wanted control of this movie. Blake wanted the sequel of this movie. And how do you get a sequel of the movie? By becoming friends with the author, love bombing her, promising her more control, more input, a safer space, a female gaze, an actual female gaze. Well, I think Blake made promises to Colleen, and Colleen got dragged into this, but I think Colleen had her own, I don't know, motives here because she wanted to control the book and hey, the film. But hey, listen, she wrote the book. I'm sure she's very protective. It was the story she claims of her mother or inspired by her mother. It was her baby. She wanted it to look a certain way. With that said, in her complaint, her amended complaint, Blake says that she led the edit of Sony's cut of the film, which was the version released in theaters. It's weird to think that a woman that, yes, she was hired as the actress and she had the executive producer side. It's weird that she got to lead the cut of the film. She wasn't the director. It's hard to imagine how that she got herself positioned in this way. She claims that she doesn't explain how she got this. She doesn't explain why she was given this. Now Justin says that she was threatening not to promote the film, that she would back out, that she would not honor her contract if she didn't get this and she wasn't offered this. But Blake makes no mention of that. Instead, she acts like this whole fight over creative control is a red herring. She says, Mr. Baldoni and Wayfair parties falsely claim that Miss Lively took over the movie as a self-aggrandizing power play. The defendant's entire accusation would rely on Miss Lively and others fabricating malicious claims nearly a year before an edit. Though Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath repeatedly engaged in inappropriate behavior with witnesses and corroborators in real time. And then, even more complicated, their accusation would have required Miss Lively to rely on the hope that the Wayfair parties would sign a document acknowledging and agreeing to cease the detailed and specific misconduct described in her claims, after writing letters of apologies to female cast 8 months before, and also, most critically, the supposed master plan they absurdly accused Miss Lively would rely on the hope that Wayfair would never, in the 1.5-year process, launch an HR investigation to clear their innocent names, but instead allow the film to be stolen from them. Now, here's the thing. If you look at his complaint, his amended complaint, you'll see that she was leveraging and threatening to quit a lot and not sign contracts and not promote the film and making threats to not talk to Taylor Swift. And she was constantly utilizing the power that she had in Hollywood to get what she wanted. Now she's flipping this and saying that she made up the accusations, or they're claiming she made them to do this. I don't know what to say about those accusations, but I will say there seems to be evidence from Baldoni's side that she was making threats and comments from Sony. The assertion that Miss Lively bullied her way into the edit room is not only false, but it was not even necessary. Now, this is kind of where she tells on herself. If she was not happy with the film, she could have easily just moved on to her next project. She had offers for directing jobs before, during, and since the film. If she wanted to direct, she could do that at any time, and without having to deal with the Wayfair parties, whom she clearly wanted nothing to do with. She was happy to move on. She was happy to find her next project. So, of course, she didn't have to bully them. She just said, I'll quit. And she told you there. That's exactly what she said without saying it. The story of the edit of the film is not relevant to Miss Lively's claims of sexual harassment and retaliation. It's a red herring designed to distract the public away from the grave misconduct by the defendants. Maybe, maybe not. That has to be determined in court. The Sony cut is the film that was chosen to be released in theaters. I'm pretty sure she also threatened if her cut wasn't released, she wouldn't promote it. Miss Lively led the cut. She doesn't say why she led the cut. If she wanted nothing to do with Wayfair, why did she then edit the film? Do you see how these arguments aren't making sense? She didn't want anything to do with these people, but then she led the cut. Working in close collaboration with Sony and Colleen Hoover. Wow, that's interesting. Colleen Hoover. She was in the editing bay. Huh, that's interesting, right? Working in close collaboration with Colleen Hoover. I want to share with you a couple things that I found in Colleen's Facebook group to give you an understanding of how much of a fan this woman was of Blake Lively. On August 28th, 2023, Colleen got to meet her for the first time. And in her group, she said, I got to meet Blake today, just incredible and somehow even more beautiful in person. I also got to go to the place where all the brains of the film are in one building, and it was just incredible and surreal and more than I ever imagined. I'm honestly shocked and pleased with how much effort has gone into every detail. I cannot wait until I can get to come back and visit on set. I don't think it felt real until today. I took a lot of pics for y'all, but until I get permission to post, here is the one pic that surely won't get me in trouble. Employees gotta pee. It's not a secret. And it's a picture of it ends with us restroom. So she was like enamored because Blake was so beautiful in person. She was thrilled So excited. Now, around the same time that she says that she was working in close collaboration with Colleen Hoover, Colleen posted in her Facebook group, "Okay, I don't want to spoil the film for anyone, but I saw the first director's cut. I'm going to be honest, I was nervous. I read the script and visited the set and did all the author things authors do, I guess, including a brief cameo. But it's hard to know until you see the actual end result if the film actually captures the essence of the book. You guys, it is so gorgeous. I'm so excited for y'all to see it. The actors did such a phenomenal job. I'm so proud of everyone and can't wait to talk about it with you guys. We need a movie group. I'll make one now and post it in the comments." So she saw the first director's cut. Justin Baldoni included her in the cut. Once Colleen got in touch with Blake, it sounds like Colleen not only got to watch the cut, but be a part of the editing process. So she went from calling Justin's cut to beautiful, amazing. She was so excited. And then suddenly in May, she's working with Lively, and Lively allows her to come into the room with her. They released a trailer on May 16th, and Sony was elated and excited. They called it excellent, truly beautiful. So Colleen only shows up that one time in this complaint. It's very strange how little Colleen is involved, and yet it's like she's being shielded from the involvement, right? She led the cut with their support with Sony, and she led it. I don't know why. And she worked in close collaboration with Colleen Hoover. So when everything came out about this lawsuit and about the CRD complaint, people were shocked to see that Colleen was on Blake's side, although maybe not really, because during the promotion, after years of supporting Justin, Colleen started distancing herself from Justin. And when everything hit the fan in her group and everything started blowing up and people were demanding answers from Colleen, she said that she was going to hold her tongue. She said, "Domestic violence has been something I have firsthand experience with. I wrote this book for myself and my mother. This book means the world to me, and I will defend it with my soul. What is happening with the movie that I do not own and cannot take control of is not something I'm ignoring, but rather something I'm carefully choosing not to speak on for so many reasons. Yes, it is easy to think you know all of these people and their motivations, but unless you know someone's phone number personally and can speak to them directly about a situation, anything else you think or say is just assumption. That's it. And I do not want to see assumption in this group regarding a very, very serious and unfortunately public issue. So any comments I see about it that are rude in any direction will be deleted in here out of fairness, and hope that the legal system will take care of this, because we for sure aren't coming to a resolution on it in this group. So while I know it's such an odd thing not to be talking about it in here because it's such a huge part of my career and my life, I'm choosing respectfully to hold my tongue. This is a delicate matter. I'm not by any means saying I'm ignoring it or should ignore it. Just please don't bring it here." So in that thread, she was then asked about the rights of the book, and she answered a question about it. And she said, 99.9% of the time, you lose all rights to the film, and they can do with it whatever they want and change anything you want. You're essentially handing it over, knowing there's a chance the movie made from it could not have one single similarity. And you just have to hope you're working with people who respect and receive your input. I do not have an issue with the movie. Everyone worked hard on it, and I think it turned out so much better than I was expecting it to. But I did stop selling rights after selling these. I don't own Verity, but my production company is part of it, and I'm executive producer on Regretting You because I sold all 3 of those back in 2019 and 2020. But since then, I have chosen to keep all rights and produce them under Heartbones Productions, which I started with a dear friend, Lauren. So I'll have a lot more control moving forward should I want it. Just not sure I'll have time for it. So what's strange here is that Colleen worked side by side with Justin and Christy Hall. Christy Hall, who was the screenplay and wrote the screenplay for the film. And she said that she loved the movie. She called it beautiful. But then in these posts, the overwhelming sense is that I didn't have control. I sold the rights. I don't have any control about what's happening. And how this implication that the lack of the control is why moving forward, she doesn't want to sell rights anymore and she'll control the filming and the films herself, which is a huge undertaking if you're going to be an author and you're going to produce your own films. But what if Blake offered her the control she desired? What if Blake said, we can do this together and we can be the women? We don't need Justin. What if she allowed her fandom and the fact that she was a fan to guide her and motivate her? And what if being in the editing room and the control of the editing was more important to her than a relationship with Justin? Once the film was promoted, she seemed all too happy to walk alongside Blake. Blake was at the book bonanza. They were able to show a first cut that was a rough cut to the audiences that Blake stole. Blake was playing outside of the rules, I think, in many ways to impress Colleen, to get Colleen on her side. And Justin says he believes she did that because he owns the rights to the next sequel, the next book. It starts with us. So he bought the rights for both books. And if Blake could leverage her relationship with Colleen and get him to sell the rights to her, she could do the sequel. Now, developing this plot to make it look like he's this monster on the set, again, that's up to a jury. But there's a lot of little breadcrumbs that you start to see. And you're like, now in Blake's complaint, she's saying that Hoover was in the editing bay with her, something that Justin didn't give Colleen access to. Very rare for Colleen to have this much access when she sold the rights. She wants to claim now she has no control, but yet along the way with Blake, it seemed like they had a lot of control. They had the movie from the studio, right? She was in the editing. She got to choose the characters. She got to help with casting. She got to help with the writing. She's listed as a writer in the film. Did she really not have control, or did she not have the control she wanted? I can understand wanting control of your craft and wanting control of your story, but was she willing to partner with Blake? And did Blake make that promise to her? When Colleen returned to Instagram, she wiped out everything having to do with Blake and Justin on her Instagram, which I thought was interesting. Wiped out everything having to do with It Ends With Us. It seems like if you believed Blake, you wouldn't get rid of all of the Ends With Us stuff. You wouldn't remove your support for her. I feel like she dipped out because she has something to hide. And I feel like the stories are a smokescreen. Blake says that Justin's thing about the film getting stolen is a smokescreen. I feel like it's more like a smokescreen that they said that he was a predator so that they could get control. But what do I know? I'm just a low influence content creator, Blake. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed and click the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye guys.